Here's something you can be doing. Here. So see this, if you notice, like these were my peppers, and these are the ones that didn't come up. But if you notice, they wrote on them.
What's what?
Yeah, that's kohlrabi. There's some pepper, so you can't do anything with that one.
Well, that one might come up, but died.
Yeah. So, probably I would just leave the soil. There's one. Leave the soil and put you 1 or 2 or 3 seeds, like 1, 2, 3, and then drop some dry on top of it.
Some dry dirt?
Yeah.
Where my dry dirt?
It's in that thing over there. I'll give you some. But see, these are the ones I planted, so you'll have to like look on the side of them.
Match them up to get them back in there. What actually goes in there? Do I just kind of like make a little impression, or just lay them right on the top?
Pepper seeds are so tiny that, like, see, let's see, what's that one? King of the, what is it? Does it say King of the North?
Where? Oh, this one says King of the North.
Yeah, so see, like, they're so tiny that you just, maybe do. Just do one like that. You don't have to poke them in there. And then do use some dirt over them, and then that one's planted, and then move them back over here so you'll know
that they have been planted.
Okay.
Can we put them in that black thing with it, or
yeah,
just like?
If you want to, go for it.
Oh, I hear some chicky girls. I hear some chicky girls.
So if there's any more kohlrabi, we'll just have to put it over there.
Ignore the kohlrabi, or do I have some here?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't just average to small.
Do I ignore the kohlrabi because I don't have any in my hand here?
I
wasn't leaving you.
I went with my dad when I was little, but I've never actually been.
Oh, it's fun. It's the funnest kind of hunting there is.
What kind of kohlrabi did I say?
It's fun. I enjoyed that. Because that one, most of them ain't like that. I mean, that's ones you want to find, the young 2-year-olds that are desperate. They'll just run right up on the young.
Okay. We're out in the greenhouse today starting our tomato plants, planting some more pepper plants and just some other things. I started my pepper plants back in February, but some of them didn't come up very good, so Katie's replanting those for me right now, and then Corey's working on the tomatoes. When it comes to starting seedlings, so many people say, you know, they want to know what's the best, like, medium, what kind of soil do you use to start your seedlings in. Over the years, like when I like to look at it like this, when I started gardening for myself, I gardened my whole life with Granny and Pap, but when I started myself, I was just, I guess, ignorant. I didn't know, so I would just do whatever come natural. Well, what I found over the years is that sort of works. Gardening's not as hard as a lot of people are afraid of it being if they've never gardened before. So to start my seedlings in, you can buy a special seed mix, seedling potting mix, like especially for that, but you can also just use potting mix, regular potting mix, and I've done that for many, many years, and it works fine if you can't find the other more specialized. And I think back to my Mama Marie when she started her seeds. Of course, she didn't have none of that. What did she start them in? She started them in outside in the garden. So Pap would tell me that she would start her tomato seeds in a place like under the edge of her porch where the sun shone in, and she would start her little tomato bed right there, her little tomato seeds, and she would cover them up with a sheet at night, and then she would open it up during the day, and the sunshine shone in there, and they were kind of protected by the porch. Well, of course, she wasn't buying any kind of specialized potting mix or anything like that to start hers. So a lot of times for gardening, I've had friends who've never gardened before, and they think, you know, that they're not able to, or gosh, I'd have to learn, there's so much to learn. But I say just start wherever you're at. If you just start with one little seed, you'd be amazed how easy it is compared to what you've built up in your mind. At least that's what I've found. So today we're going to be doing tomatoes, like I said, and reseeding some of our peppers that didn't make it, and then probably a few other things. I'd like to sow some flowers today, and then a few other things. It's still too early to plant outside here, but here in the greenhouse it's protected, so that's what we're going to be doing today. Usually we end up planting way too many tomatoes, but we share with friends and with different people, and we try to plant as many as we can. I try every year to rethink, like I used to just try all different kinds, but then I have to realize we'd only have so much space to actually plant the tomatoes in. So then I tried to narrow it down to some of our favorites. Well, our favorites that I've never not grow is Cherokee Purple. We really like that one, so that's every year we're going to do that one. There's a little one, a little Tommy toe, like we would call it, black cherry, and we always plant that one. And then there's Mountain Princess. That's like kind of a medium-sized red tomato, and it's really prolific for us, so I like to plant that one because of canning. It tastes good too, but it seems like it's the perfect one for canning. But this year, so along with those, Katie for Christmas got me this Nebraska wedding tomato. I've never even heard of it. I googled it, and it's like an orange kind of tomato, so I'm going to try 1 or 2 of those. I'm also going to try, let's see, what else? Sun Gold. I've never grew that one before, but last year John C. Campbell Folk School, the gardener there, Teddy, he grew those, and I really loved them, and they really did good for him. I'm hoping they will for me, since I'm fairly close to the folk school. This is one I've never tried before, but I read good things about. It's Ace 55. So that one's supposed to be really prolific for canning. More Cherokee Purple. I have a lot of those. Cherokee Purple. Another one that I learned about from Teddy at the John C. Campbell Folk School was a Juliet. So a Juliet is like kind of like a Tommy toe, but more elongated, so about that big. And I just could not believe how prolific they were. And they were perfect for drying tomatoes. If you like to dry tomatoes like in a dehydrator, they were perfect for that. Plus they tasted good too, so I'm super excited about that one. More Cherokee Purple. And this one Katie got me for Christmas too is Aunt Ruby's German Green. I've tried to grow green ones in the past, and never did they do any good for me. But I'm going to try this one, and we'll see how it turns out. And then I have one more little Tommy toe one. I've got on it. It's where I collected the seeds for this one from my good friend Carolyn and David Anderson. And it was probably, gosh, it was late in the fall. My tomatoes were gone, and I went over to their house actually to interview them, so I'll link to that interview if you've not seen it. It's really interesting, and they're great people, great friends, and they still had tomatoes growing outside their garage. And so as I would walk by, I would get some of the tomatoes and eat them. They were so good. So before I left, they picked me pretty much what they had left and sent them home with me. They're so generous, but I saved some of the seeds, so I'm really excited about those too. So as far as the peppers that we grow, we really don't like really hot peppers, so we're not into those. The most that we'll ever grow is a jalapeno. That's about as hot as we get. But so we've started sweet banana pepper. Those are pretty much every year we grow. Marconi red and Marconi gold. Eddie's hunting for that one. And then sweet peppers, like this is a Yolo Wonder. I usually grow that one, and the King of the North sweet pepper. I like those. This year, for the first time, I'm trying the shishito. I may be saying that wrong, but shishito pepper. So I've heard good things about that one. I'm trying it. And then I'm also trying a habanada, if I'm saying that right. But it's not a hot one. It's one of the ones that are not hot. So it's without the heat, but it's a habanada. So I'm excited to see how that one goes. We just finished up in the greenhouse. I'm really pleased with what we got done today. We got all the tomatoes planted, got the peppers that didn't come up reseeded. Most of them come up, but the few that didn't, we planted a few extra. We planted some flowers and some herbs, so I'm really excited about what we got planted today. Gardening is such a way of life in Appalachia. It's how I grew up gardening, and then I've raised my girls like that. They used to really complain when they had to help in the hot summer in Pap's big garden, but I said one day you'll be grateful. You'll be glad that you spent this time with the family and with him, and that you learned where food come from. You knew what it took to make that food, to create it when it ended up on the table in front of you for supper or dinner. So they really appreciate that, and I'm glad that they do, and I'm glad they've learned. I hope that that you're able to garden. Some people are not. I know circumstances and maybe where you live may prevent you from doing that. But gardening is a real rewarding thing to do, and it's not that hard. Like I tell my friends, there's so many books and so many experts that kind of make it seem intimidating, but it's really not. You just have to start somewhere. And probably when I first started, even though I had all those years of knowledge from Granny and Pap, when I was actually gardening myself, I didn't have them right with me to tell me stuff. So I just dove in and done stuff that I thought would work, and most of the time it did work. Most of the time it did. So it's always fun just to learn something new, and there's so many resources today. Especially on YouTube, if you want to garden, all you got to do is Google homesteaders, and you'll find somebody telling you how to plant just exactly everything that you want to plant. And what I found best is just to, like I said, dive in, and of course read and learn. That's always great, but then you kind of have to find your own way to do things and find what works for you. And then after you've gardened for several years like we have, you kind of know, yeah, that works, but no, that don't really work for me. It never did. You kind of find your path, what works for you and for your family. But I hope you'll leave a comment and let me know if you are a gardener. Have you started seedlings, or do you usually buy your starts, or how do you garden? But mostly I just hope you'll drop back by often as I celebrate Appalachia.